You've probably heard me say this often this year. Cars as we know them are about to change. 2018 happens to be the year when premium car makers are finally taking out their electrified concept cars off the show floors and into the real world. Now, Tesla is already leading the charge. Jaguar has let out its electrified cat in the I-Pace. Mercedes-Benz has shown its EQC, and now Audi is putting into production the E-Tron. Over the past couple of years, Audi has released a series of concepts around the word E-Tron. A sports car, a race car, an SUV, and even a sportback. Unsurprisingly though, it is the more popular SUV body style that has the honors of wearing the E-Tron badge as a production model name before it turns into a commonly used suffix for all electrified and hybrid Audi cars. That sounds a lot like what happened to Quattro in the Audi scheme of things. But moving to the design, the design is typical to what an Audi SUV would wear. But underneath is the drivetrain of the near future. The E-Tron styling is almost unchanged over the 2015 E-Tron Quattro concept, though the production car is marginally larger. In a conscious effort, the design doesn't try too hard to look futuristic. Audi wants to take it slow and go step by step. That said, the E-Tron has enough design elements that instantly establish it as a premium car. The plush cabin has a generous use of display panels and subtle ambient lighting that sets this car apart from its stablemates. It also debuts a new gear selector that will be common on the electrified range from Audi. There is a generous 600-litre boot too, while under the bonnet is a small 60-litre cavity that Audi calls frunk for stowing away the charging cables. The E-Tron uses the same wheel and tyre sizes as the Audi Q7, which combined with the smaller proportions of this car give the E-Tron a beefed up stance. In the floor is a bed of 95 kWh lithium-ion battery pack that comprises of 36 modules containing 12 pouch-type cells each. At 60 ampere hours, each cell is rated higher than the cells that are used by Tesla or Nissan. The battery pack is also capable of a 150 kW DC rapid charging, which is 30 kW superior to Tesla's supercharger. The fast charger can recharge up to 80% of the battery in 30 minutes and is compatible with the Ionity rapid charging network that is being set up by the consortium of manufacturers like the Volkswagen Group, Daimler, BMW and Ford. Audi is also working very closely with Amazon in developed markets to make sure that you have the right equipment required for the charging. The battery pack powers an electric motor at each axle for a dual motor powertrain configuration. The combined output is about 360 PS, 664 Newton meters, which is slightly lower than the hinted power output of 450 plus PS by the earlier E-Tron concepts. But it's still good for a quick 0 to 100 time of 5.7 seconds with the boost mode or 6.6 seconds otherwise. And the boost mode for about 8 seconds will bump up the power to 408 PS. Top speed is 200 kilometers an hour. The E-Tron weighs around 3 tons, out of which 700 kilos is the battery alone. Audi says that they could have made the batteries lighter, but for the intended safety, weight distribution and dynamics, they had to keep the weight up. Its placement in the floor lowers the center of gravity and aids handling dynamics. To that effect, the E-Tron also gets air suspension in all 4 corners, but it will be interesting to see how it masks all that bulk when going into a bend. Braking is also a big concern with weight like that. Therefore, the E-Tron's regenerative braking system uses an electro-hydraulic system. A hydraulic piston is able to provide a higher pressure, which in turn gives it quicker braking response and lower braking distance. The braking system also works in a single pedal operation that will become common to electrified vehicles, wherein the system automatically initiates deceleration forces when you lift your foot off the accelerator pedal. Audi also claims that the regenerative braking can recuperate up to 30% of the car's total driving range. Add to this the advancements in energy density of the batteries and low resistance tires, and the E-Tron can manage a driving range of up to 400 kilometers. Driving range and charging times are an important criteria that will sort of dictate the acceptance levels of different electrified vehicles. And that is why aerodynamics plays a very important role. And that is where things get interesting. Compared to other show cars or concept cars that are electrified, which look like toy cars, this one looks like a conventional car. What isn't conventional is the design of the wing mirrors. Because of the slim profile, they are able to reduce the aerodynamic drag by a fair margin. These virtual wing mirrors feature wide-angle cameras instead that display the feed on slick OLED screens between the door pad and the A-pillars. These mirrors alone contribute to 20 kilometers to the overall driving range. However, they may not be legal in all markets. The low roofline, the self-adjusting air suspension and the grille contribute heavily to the aerodynamics and have enabled the designers to reach a drag coefficient of as low as 0.27. In comparison, the Q7 has a drag coefficient of 0.32. Behind the conventional-looking grille is a conventional radiator that is mated to a lattice-type water-based thermal system for the batteries. The system can either heat or cool the batteries to maintain an optimum operating temperature of 25 to 35 degrees Celsius even in regions of extreme climates. It would be interesting to see then how the E-Tron copes up with the Indian conditions. The good news is I'm not going to end this presentation of an electric vehicle with a sigh again saying it's not going to come to India, the infrastructure doesn't exist. On the contrary, Audi India confirms that the E-Tron will indeed come to India. When? Well, late 2019. Something worth looking forward to then. In 2019, Audi will also showcase its second fully electrified vehicle under the E-Tron banner, which will be based on the Sportback concept showcased last year. Its launch is in line with Audi's plans of having up to 3 battery electrified vehicles by 2021. By 2025, Audi plans to launch a total of 20 new models, out of which 12 will be from the SUV or the Q range, and out of which 7 will be pure electric. So that's a lot of cars to look forward to then. Stay tuned to Overdrive as we keep breaking all this info to you.